everyone, welcome back again for another exciting episode of the Iconist Podcast. I'm one of your hosts here, Barry 3D for Deep, Dark, Delicious. Hey, and on my side, as always, is my cousin, the one and only
DJ Rod C. Hey, that's me over here. Hey, how you doing?
Hot damn, DJ Rod C. And today we have a special guest with us today. If you see the name and the title, you know what we're talking about. If you're watching it, you see me in green. It's on. We have Matt here with us. Matt, first of all, introduce yourself. Tell us where we can find you, Matt.
Well, I don't know. Like the bar's set so high here. I got to come in with it's Matt, 2% milk, DeMarco, just not quite whole, but not quite fat free. So I suppose that's good enough. I suppose
we'll accept that.
I'm just throwing it out there. So, I'm trying new things, and that's what it's all about these days. It's nice to be here, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for accepting the invite, man. We really appreciate it. And before we get started on this whole vision here, and I'm going in hard on this one. You see me in green. The Fantastic Four book is in the background. It's on, Rod. You know I'm not right in the head. So, first of all, round of shout outs. So we want to shout out one of our friends, Jimmy English. He does his own podcast, Back to the Balcony. Look for the microphone on the red background. He talks about any movies with guests, and they go look over the good, the bad, the ugly, and have some laughs at it with some tidbits. Second of all, we have to support our comic book stores. Without the comic book stores, there's no stories. And two of those that really stand behind this show is Check Swings in Montreal, just off of Taschereau Boulevard. Go in there, tell Trevor that you heard about it on the Iconist Podcast, and we said hi. Or for our friends here in Ontario, do the drive out to Kitchener. I know a little bit of a drive, but you're going to get to Wow Comics with my buddy Wes and Ramon. And in there, you have 500,000 books, 2 floors full of everything. And so support the books. That's for sure. Absolutely. One of my friends, too, has dropped his album just lately, and it's called Curfew Flowers. Wayne Tennant. Look it up. I'm telling you, Vapors is the jam. I'm standing with it. You might see me do a TikTok with it at one point if I figure out talk tick. Got it. It is what it is. I'm old man with technology. Help me. Get me my teenage daughter. And then, we got to reach out to my boys who I'm rolling with. If you were out in Jarvis, thank you for anyone that came out to Jarvis to see us perform. So that's A Touch of Gray comedy. That's myself, Barry 3D, with Thomas Patrice, who you've seen on the show, Dave Sokolowski, who you've seen on the show, and Zolf Ali, who one day might be on the show. That's A Touch of Gray right now. We are the Canadian version of the Blue Collar Comedy Crew. So that's exactly what it is. Get behind us like a Tim Hortons. And I know I'm missing somebody, Rod. Who am I missing? The one, the only, who makes us look so pretty. I didn't forget you. I was just playing with you. Hit it, Rod.
Don't do that.
Jay Bird.
Digital.
Jay Bird Digital Arts, the man who designed the logo, our template, and all this. It makes us look pretty for you and you're watching. Thank you very much. Jay Bird Digital Arts. Wait to the end of the videos. You see our flow code, scan it, sign it, file under links, or you can see him down below in the comments. And, you can find everyone on my website at barry3d.com. Rod, remind them where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on the international web. You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. Mr. RODC. As well, you can find me on twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. Those are the 2 places you can find me. Have some fun. Come on by. Listen, we're setting this up. We normally release this on a Tuesday, so I normally play, a wonderful set on Twitch on Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on through. Do a little shout out. Just let me know you saw this. You got the record here from Iconist. I'll give you a shout out. We'll have some fun. Listen, this is going to be a great day today. As you can see, we got a guest. You know what the title is. We're going in. Are you guys ready? Sit back and relax. It's about to go down.
Oh.
Tell them what we're doing, Barry. Tell them what we're doing.
Oh my God. Today we're bringing it bad. Greenwood Envy. The man that is overlooked, but he's there everywhere. Rated one of the top villains. Out of the top 100 villains, he's either number 1, 2, or 3 on the list, depending what list you look at. We are talking about the one and only Dr. Victor Von Doom, or Dr. Doom to everyone else. That's right. He's got his doctorate. Don't mess with him.
I was going to say, I remember when he was just Mr. Doom working at like a McDonald's. It was He had some aspirations, I'll tell you what. And like he used to put 5 nuggets in my 6-piece. And I was like, yeah, you're a badass. I get it. You have some, you got some bad. His last name is Doom. What do you expect him to be? Like a veterinarian? No, he had some definitely some, some world conquering ambitions. So I'm proud of him, frankly. And, not only just Doom PhD, but a whole country that he invented and created for himself. So good for him, frankly.
He's coming up in the world. He came up in the world very well. We're very proud.
He's a go-getter. See, kids look at rap music as they're making, right? So there's a lot of kids in the ghetto and they look at rappers like, hey man, he came from nothing, living in the projects, and he worked his way up, and now he's got a big mansion. He's got 3 rooms full of shoes, and he's got all these albums and money. Dr. Doom came from gypsies to running the country. That
started from the bottom. Here we.
Yep. I was gonna say, frankly, he's like the original Drake, just less evil. So that's amazing,
right? Jeff Bezos is trying to take lessons from Dr. Doom.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting there for sure. They're absolutely getting there. But I've never seen Dr. Doom with like a super yacht worth like several billions. So not yet.
He doesn't need one.
Not yet. No, that's it. Yeah.
He doesn't.
I think one. Latveria is a landlocked country, so I'm pretty sure that they don't need any yachts.
Yeah,
that's why he's always flying out, man. And to go back then, just to show you how when we talk about characters like this is a character that really needs respect. He's been there, and every time you think Dr. Doom, you think Fantastic Four. One goes hand in hand, but he's fought everybody. Doom is an equal fighting person.
Opportunist villain, yeah.
Oh yeah,
equal opportunist villain. That's what he is.
All villains, and he's teamed up with all villains. And then there was one team up, and we'll maybe jump back into it. But what I used to like was super villain team up, where it was Dr. Doom and Namor, who would team up. They would backstab each other and then backstab everybody else.
I think it was like that. That was like how the show Big Brother was started, I think, was just reading this. Like in Survivor, like they were just like, oh, I got a great idea for a show. Hold on a second, just checking the source material. Is anyone here like a prince of the ocean? No, okay. Well, we'll work on that.
Exactly. And to get into the origins of the character, so Dr. Doom made his first appearance in Fantastic Four issue number 5 back in 1962, and I know a lot of you going, what? Being time goes back that far? Yeah, it goes back that far. Know your source material, as Matt says, as we like to say on the show. So this is where he was made. He was created by Stan Lee, of course, right? Stan the Man Lee and Jack Kirby. So these are 2 guys who were very influential in creating this character. And when they created the character, they didn't even have a full backstory for the character. His backstory only came out a little bit, I think about a year or 2 years after, in one of the Fantastic Four annuals, annual number 2. So they created a character. He was a bad man. And then it's like, oh, we need to give him a backstory. And they did. And the backstory worked for me. I like it. So, Matt, what do you think of Dr. Doom, and what's your draw to this character?
Well, frankly, first of all, like I like what you're talking about, like the backstory of the character, where you don't find that and flesh that out till later, and which is amazing because you need a bad guy, so you're like, hey, what's like the worst name possible, or like something that that people know. There's no explanation needed. If you're not going to dig into the backstory in that issue, you might as well at least sort of advertise that the dude is not really all there and he's not on your side. So you give him a name like Dr. Doom. So not only is Doom in there, but he's gone to school, so he knows what the hell he's doing. So there's at least that aspect of it. Much like like Dr. Evil, and like you don't need to know, and it's there. So I like this character because my exposure to the character was very much. I got into comics in the early 2000s, so what seems like yesterday, but in reality, it's like 20 some odd years now. But I got in. And I did a lot of, just reading backwards and getting into characters. And this is somebody that I really enjoyed because they're not necessarily, I like those characters that are kind of, they sort of dance the line between good and evil, like the villain who can do good things, but whose motive might be okay, but their execution might be a little bit questionable. So the fact that Dr. Doom, was the head of state of a country that had no crime, no pollution, was a scientific marvel, leading in science, was a world power, no disease, no famine, no poverty, no nothing. you're like, this guy's a genius. This guy should be a model citizen. But then you have the pesky Avengers or the Fantastic Four that are always up his ass asking him questions. It's like, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I've got my thing going on over here. And so that was my first, that would really pique my interest to the character, because the same characters that have that moral ambiguity. And just so happened yesterday, randomly, I was just looking for a movie to watch, and I just put on The Rock with Nick Cage and Sean Connery, and Ed Harris's character had a little bit of like a moral, ground to stand on in terms of what they like. The reason he does bad things is for good reasons, and I think that's kind of the same with Doctor Doom for a lot of the storylines. And I thought that was very fascinating. And I mean, you go back to the 60s and the 70s, and the storylines were very bland. I don't want to say bland, but they're very superficial. There's not many layers to them. There's not much politics involved, sprinkled in, and social issues that are explored. It's just a good guy versus a bad guy, and superpowers versus superpowers, and how there's fireworks and then there's a resolution. This is a little bit different with that character, and I thought that it was something that I really wanted to dive into. And at the time that I really got interested in it was while I was in university at Concordia University, and I was studying political science, and that really resonated with me, because like this was a political head of state who was a supervillain that was doing good things, but that was getting harassed by the international community. So there's no right answer for this character.
Right. And it's true. And then we go back even a little bit further. So if we look at his childhood when he's coming up and so forth like that, right? He had his parents, and obviously everyone has parents, but his mom was a witch. His dad was royalty, at the time. They were living as gypsies and brought in to, go around from town to town, and then they would try to help people. And if I'm a little bit off that, you can correct me on that,
I will do my best.
No problem.
Yeah, you guys are the pros, man. I'm just here to plug holes, so to speak. So
yeah, exactly.
Watch this guy.
Seal a leak. Buy one, get two for free. No. So as I said, so he came up and he had his parents that way, and then his for some reason I can't remember. And that's where it gets foggy, because I always retconned everything, and I hate that. So I'm trying to remember the original story, but I know that his mom sacrificed herself. Like, I mean, the father tried to, I'm sure it was the father tried to save somebody because he was also like a healer, and it wasn't working, or he got like pushed out of town, and they were chasing his mom. His mom tried to save him, and they're out in the cold. They're in the middle of, and she puts her robe over him, and then kind of sacrifices herself. But like I said, that one could be a little bit funny, but I know she sacrificed herself, and she gave her soul over to the devil. Okay, Mephisto in Marvel Comics, and said, I'll sell my soul to you, or give my soul to you, if you let my son rise up and become a monarch, to rule the country. She wanted at least a future. Like every parent wants to have a good future for their kid. You want your child to do better than you. So you would do anything for your child to succeed. And that was her trying to help out. And, he started kind of going around with the gypsy caravan. He was building machines. He was keeping the people there safe from being hunted. He went to that. It was himself that went to go and help somebody. And while he was kind of on the run, his inventions that he was creating were reaching, murmurs all over the world. And a professor or someone from, Empire State University said, okay, send someone over there, look for this Victor Von Doom, offer him a scholarship into our university. This guy seems to be a genius. He's someone that should be here. Right. And then, of course, travels around the world. He leaves his girlfriend behind, travels over to the world. And he's got, at this time, unbeknownst to most people, he's got this motivation. He wants to go over there, and he wants to bring back his mom's soul. So he starts learning.
I was going to say, sorry, it sounds a lot like how colleges recruit athletes.
Right.
We heard about this guy. Let's offer him a lot of money, tear him away from his family, and then not pay him a lot. But we'll get him over here because he's the best.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah. Everything he makes for us, we have the patent pending. So he gets over there, and that's how the story is. And that's where he runs into Reed Richards, because he was supposed to be rooming with Reed Richards, and he saw Reed, and he's like, no, I don't want to have him as my roommate. He's an idiot. He didn't like Reed. From the get-go, he did not like Reed Richards.
Yeah,
right?
it's still LeBron and Carmelo. This is exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's the two of them. It's the same thing. Come on. Hey, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Don't apologize, man. It's true. And they butted heads, and it wasn't so. I mean, he didn't like Reed, but he really didn't like Reed's best friend, which was Ben Grimm, right? So Ben was in there, and and the two of them would rub each other the wrong way, and so and then this brings us to the point where he's building a machine. He's using the resources of the university to help build a machine so he can bring back his mother's soul. His whole motivation is to save his mom, right? Forget dad. No, mother. She sacrificed herself for him, so he's trying to rectify that.
Communicate with her. Yep.
He's made his calculations. Reed comes in there and he goes, "Hey, Doom, I think your calculations are off." And Reed's and Doom's very arrogant. He's like, "What do you mean? No, my calculations are perfect. Don't touch anything. I've done what I needed to do." He goes in there, starts the machine. Baba bing, baba boom. My face. Reed, I'll get you. Shaking fist of anger, and blames Reed Richards for tampering with the machine. And this is what starts the whole rivalry between Reed Richards and Victor.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Prior to the Fantastic Four even having their powers. And that led to a whole lot of, and we'll talk about it, back and forth between the two characters. But the tidbit about this is Dr. Doom's correct. His calculations were correct. Right. Reed did detect that was an issue, and his calculations were a little bit off when Reed double checked it when Victor was out the room. But it wasn't Doom's fault. It was Ben Grimm, the Thing, before he becomes a Thing, says, "Oh, this guy's a dick," and he did the typical jock thing. I'm gonna play a joke on him and mess a little bit with his doodads. So when Victor had it all perfect and he walked out the room, Ben came in and moved a couple of things. I went, ha 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 ha, this will teach him, and walked out the room. And then Reed came in and said, "Oh, your calculations are off." And he gave Reed the middle finger saying, "You don't know what you're talking about." Boom, my face. So this whole thing, as we talked about one of our other episodes, where it was Starscream's fault for everything that happens in the Transformers. If he listened to Megatron, it would have been a totally different show or no show. If it wasn't for Benjamin touching something that he shouldn't have touched, you would not have the heated rivalry between Mr. Fantastic and Dr. Doom.
You could say the same about Kevin Spacey, frankly. If he just didn't touch what he's just not supposed to touch. I mean, these are all definitely lines of play that we can take here. But I agree. I absolutely agree. Not to bring Kevin Spacey into this.
No.
Just
to stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane.
I was gonna say,
stay
I don't know who's on the guest list next week. I just don't want to offend anybody.
Well, we know it ain't Kevin Spacey.
Damn, not anymore. At least no. He's
no. Even if we're too old and too straight.
Yeah, exactly.
So, too old and too
I heard
straight.
there's comic books here. There's got to be boys here too.
Yeah. Comes from like, hello.
What? Woo. Okay. Sorry. Anyways.
Go ahead, man.
Oh no, I'm here to just.
This is a fun free show. So.
That's what we're here to have, and I agree with you in that regard. It's the fact that the calculations were correct, which again is a nice, it pays. It is a nod to the fact that his intentions were good. The execution was proper. There was just a little bit of jealousy or a little bit of malicious intent on other people's part, which then again, I'd be pissed the hell off if I'm trying to recover my mother's soul and some freaking schmuck ass comes in and starts dialing up the different dials and pulleys and levers because I don't know. He gets his though. Let's just be real. He gets his. He turns.
That's
oh yeah. And that's the beauty of it, right? But the whole time now, you right, and this goes into the Fantastic Four. The whole thing for the early issues of the Fantastic Four when they came about and they had their powers. The one of the main catalysts is Reed feels guilty about Ben turning into the Thing, and he doesn't look human. And if you read a lot of the early issues, it's always Ben Grimm goes into a deep depression. Almost every issue, he's always reminding Reed like, "This is your fault. Why I look this way and no one likes me." So he really plays on that guilt card, and Reed feels guilty. Reed does his best to save him, right? But it's like the show there. I watch it all the time right now. My Name is Earl. It's all about karma. If you do bad things happen. If Ben didn't touch that device, You wouldn't have Dr. Doom trying to kill them all the time. And Victor would have tried to prove that he's smarter than Reed, would have cured Ben Grimm.
Well, those dichotomies are always fascinating. And another very important one is like Charles Xavier and Eric Lenscher, right? Like Magneto and Professor X, they're not enemies necessarily. No. They have very conflicting ways or very conflicting ideologies about very important issues. Yeah. And it's much like Democrat and Republican, this and that, whatever you want to call it, or what's going on in Quebec now? The CAQ, are they still around? I don't know what
I don't even know.
Everything's just been either taken over with the war that we might be having, or by the time this podcast is out, we might be at war.
All right,
or the truckers, and the truckers still might be in Ottawa when this is all. So we don't know.
Truckers and a non-trucker. Either way, there's this conflicting ideology, but the fact is that they're both very talented individuals who have been burdened with their own griefs and responsibilities. And in Doom's case, it's the recovery of his mother's soul and his mother sacrificing themselves for his own prosperity, and then which gets derailed by Ben Grimm. And then you have Reed Richards, who's basically to a degree responsible for Ben Grimm's metamorphosis into the Thing. First of all, they're all picking names. I just feel like Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, and then this Thing. Like it's just why don't you just call it like there was obviously better names, but it just feels like that he's there thinking about. He's like, what about this? He's like, no, there's no time. We got to go. The plane's going. Like, we got to get to the negative zone by before they stop serving, happy hour. So let's go, buddy. And then it's like, you're the Thing. That's all you are. We need to step. We need something on your passport. So,
well, that's it, right? It's like comedy, right? You have X amount of time when you're doing a comedy show, and then some comedian took too long, so that means you got to shorten your set. So it's like, okay, guys, we have 20 minutes. I need you to think of names, and Reeds are name. Okay, I took 7 minutes, Mr. Fantastic. And then Human Torch took another 7 minutes, and it's like Human Torch, and then Sue comes in, Invisible Woman, I just made it. Woo! How much time we have left? 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Well, I think that I was gonna Thing. Let's go. Oh crap.
He's just there. He's like, all right, I've got a great name. Damn, what do you call that thing? Thing in. That's it. Perfect. Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks, Ben.
But that wasn't it.
He's pretty much the essential of like the Charlie Brown cartoon when you go trick or treating, the Halloween episode. It's like, I got a chocolate bar. I got this. What'd you get, Charlie Brown? I got a rock.
A doorstop or something. Exactly. No, that's basically is. And poor guy, but like those dichotomies, those sort of pairings, they're not as clear cut as you think, because you can really put a lot of thought and analysis into where they're coming from. And as much as you have the what can I say, like the X-Men and their issues and they were very deep rooted into social issues, right?
Yes.
And they're so depending on how you view each one, both Charles Xavier and Magneto had the right idea, which is you're not to fear us. We're just like you. But Magneto takes it a little bit better. He's like, you're not to fear us, but maybe you should, because we are the next step of evolution. Right. It's just he just kind of he took the extra like Red Bull and Monster before in the morning. So he kind of got a little bit too much, So
let's do this.
Yeah, it's like Charles Xavier's like, there's nothing wrong with us. He's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with us, and we should be able to live and coexist with humans. Yeah, and we should kill them. What? No, that's not what I'm saying. And we're better than them. And screw them. And it's just like, Eric, no, man, relax.
Eric, just
like, just shotguns another Monster energy drink and just goes and then just floats away. And Charles is like, my legs, man, I can't do that. So it's like,
sucks to meet you.
Yeah, later, bitch. Yeah, he's just gone.
Right, exactly. But and this is what makes the character so interesting. So as you're saying before, I mean, he's got his merit, and I like that. Okay, he's got the scientific part of it, and you see him suffer, like after the whole My Face episode, he takes off, he goes off in the mountains, he's trying to find ways to fix his face, and he ends up almost the same place as Doctor Strange, where Strange was walking around trying to fix his shaky hands. It's like, man, cut down on the cocaine, maybe. I'm joking. Cut down on the Red Bulls. but he's trying to find that, and he finds those monks, and then he turns around and says, "That's it. I've had enough," and he makes this armor in a cave almost, makes this high-tech scientific armor, puts it on. Then he gets his mask. Now, keep in mind, his face is bad. People always retcon it to how bad it is. Is it just a scar and he's that vain, or is it really like burnt, charred? Now, I like to think that it was more damage than just a scar and he was that vain. I like to think that he was damaged, but at the same time, he made it worse. Like sometimes when you're in pain, you just want to add more pain onto you to make it worse, where people can really. So he takes this boiling hot mask and slaps it on his face. Even to the guys who say it's still hot, put it on. Okay,
all right, man. Just saying. Yeah, this is. I don't know what the healthcare system is and where you're from, buddy, but like, yeah, this is your HMO better be freaking top notch, like guaranteed. If you're gonna just go ahead and steam or just like solder this thing to your face, definitely, go for it.
Right? It's like someone's in the background, like, "Yo, man, can he really do it? World star!" And he's staring this thing onto his face. So he does this, and then goes back to seek revenge against the Fantastic Four, because in his mind he still thinks it was Reed that messed it up, and he's like, "I'm taking you all out," and done with it. His only soft spot is pretty much for Sue. I think that's the only thing that saves him a lot of time with Namor, with Doom, other people, is like, "I'm gonna kick your ass, I'm gonna kick your ass, I'm gonna kick your ass." But Sue's nice. Same thing with the Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer comes up, first person that talked to him was the Invisible Woman, right? But Silver Surfer was beating the crap out of everybody else. So it's like, "Oh, I'll beat your brother up. I'll beat up your husband or fiance. I'll beat up this guy here, the Thing, bad name." And it's like, "Oh, you actually talked to me. How are you doing today, Sue? You should stop hitting my family." Okay, I guess.
Yeah, all right, fine. Yeah, it's like,
all right. They're all sitting there like, we're the powerful Fantastic Four. She's kind of, "Shut up."
Getting us out of trouble now.
Yeah, I got this. Just relax, idiots. Yeah,
exactly. Go and throw a steak on your eyes, like they used to say back in the days. Right? And this character, so Doom's been around, and he's just really one of the yin and yang for the Fantastic Four. But what I liked is, one, it takes four of them to beat his one.
I mean, he's been fairly resilient for the most part. My favorite Doom story, and like I said, I graduated in political science. I have a degree in political science, and one of the papers that I wrote was actually about Dr. Doom in university, which was fascinating, because basically what the professor said was, "I just want, the class was about, I think it was just like about political or heads of state that." And he said, he's like, "I just want you to exercise what you've learned and just explore a head of state and anything you want." But so he's like, "I'll have office hours. Come here, tell me what your idea is. I will approve it or disprove it." Right. So I go up there, and props to this professor, because he was very open-minded. And I said, I am a big comic book fan. And he said, "Oh Lord, where are you going with this?" And I said, there is in the Marvel universe, there's a fictional country called Latveria, and Latveria is ruled by essentially a dictator, and by the name of Victor Von Doom, aka Dr. Doom. However, within standard, he's like, "Oh, Dr. Doom, that's got to be a bad guy." I'm like, "You would think, but that's not what I'm trying to argue here." I said, "What I'm trying to argue here is the fact that he is this head of state, and his country of Latveria has no crime, no poverty. It is a world leader in scientific achievement. It is a world superpower in terms of, war, but it's like there's no crime, there's no poverty, everyone's fed, there's no disease, everyone lives in harmony. They harbor a lot of refugees from war-torn countries. They're very welcoming. Mm-hmm. It's just a very heavily policed state. Yeah, it's a utopia, but it's under that kind of very some would say a tyrannical, despotic sort of overlord look. I mean, there's Doombots everywhere making sure everyone's singing Kumbaya and not, stealing bread, but everyone's fed and everything. And I said, I want to compare Dr. Doom to all the other quote unquote enlightened despots, which are just basically dictators who are doing good things. Like they are the one, the final word on everything. They run the country from their throne or whatever, but for the most part, it's a they're doing it the right way. So I wrote a paper and gave a 45-minute presentation about Dr. Doom, and I got an A+ on this mofo because even the girls were listening to me, and that never happens when I was in university. So that was a freaking A+, I will say.
Matt with the win. Matt with the win.
Yeah. Now, the writer of that story, the book or that book is called Emperor Doom, and it came out in like the 80s or something. Right. And the writer of that story was someone by the name of David Michelini. And I met him at a convention, and I brought him a copy of my paper because he was doing a panel. And there was a Q&A period, and I raised my hand. I said, "Oh, Mr. So-and-so," I said, one of my favorite stories is how you presented Dr. Doom in Emperor Doom, and how, despite the fact that he was running a great country, it doesn't matter because the Avengers and everyone teamed up to still ruin his day, despite the fact that he was doing a good thing. And I said, I wrote a paper about it, comparing him to other things. And he actually asked me for the paper. I didn't offer to him. I just held it up. He's like, "May I have that?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So I gave it to him. And then he ended up autographing a comic book for me. And he's like, "Email me because I want to tell you what I think about it." And then later on, he emailed me and said, he's like, "Good work." I said, "Sweet." So that was my little Dr. Doom interaction. It was a great thing. And if I were to recommend anything, I know like comic books these days take a lot of liberties, and they have very ambitious story arcs. This was one, I think, that positioned in the 80s where, it's a more fascinating story arc where maybe there weren't necessarily as many risks being taken with storytelling. But I thought that this is something, it's called Emperor Doom. And I think that it's definitely worth a read from anybody who wants to look at something Doom related.
Nice. Okay, so that's a story that stands out with you. So I like that. So obviously you've read other Doom stories, though, right?
I've read other Doom stories. I've seen Doom mostly. Doom for me has always been, like you mentioned, he's one of the top 3 baddies. You put him up there with like Norman Osborn can be a very central figure of sort of like an antagonist within certain, within the Spider-Man sort of arc of things. But they all kind of cross-pollinate because, Norman Osborn had the Thunderbolts, and like that was a big deal. And Doom was one of those characters that, when he wanted to, can really be a Thanos / Ultron / major threat to the universe and to Earth in general. So that was one that I, the story arcs that I've ever read were usually like the major crossover events where he was kind of involved, either as a resource of someone that you sort of lean on as being like, I need help, or, he was respected. What I liked about him is that he was respected by everybody, as people recognized his power, his capabilities, and everything. And were like, this is someone you don't mess with. You don't F with Dr. Doom.
No, not at all. I mean, I think the character still stands up the test of time. I want them to stop retconning him, but I would still like to see some new stories with Doom, right? And what I mean by that is like back. Okay, so we got the classic ones when he first appears. Okay, it's Doom. He's a full out bad guy. Then you get a little bit more into his backstory, and there's a couple of storylines that stand out with me. So there's one where he steals the Silver Surfer's power, like he makes a device, and the Silver Surfer comes and he kind of talks the Silver Surfer into, hey, come by the castle, because the Silver Surfer helped the Fantastic Four stop Galactus. Galactus kind of put this energy shield around Earth where Silver Surfer can never leave. Everyone else can come and go, but Silver Surfer can never get past orbit. And for someone that's used to having ultimate freedom, to be confined to this one planet, it just was too much for him. He can never go back to his home planet. So Doom promised him, "Oh, I can get you past that."
Yeah, it's like having a flight canceled when you're in New Jersey. It's like, oh, come on, like what I'm
right,
like of all places,
what am I gonna do?
Yeah. Exactly. There's a Cinnabon, and like that's basically it. Yeah, White Castle or something like that.
That's it. So Doom convinced him to come by there, and Doom put him in the device, and he goes, "Oh yeah, this is gonna help me." He goes, "Sure." And next thing you know, he siphoned off the Silver Surfer's power, right? So he has the power cosmic, calls over the Silver Surfer's board. So you got Doom in his armor on the Silver Surfer's board. Where he's going, I'm gonna pay someone a visit, and he takes off from his castle.
You picture him like
New York.
Steve Buscemi style, like, hello, fellow kids. He's got like the Silver Surfer thing, like this is the board. He's like, hello, fellow kids. I've got the power cosmic now.
well, I mean, think of it. You got someone with that intelligence and that much influence and power behind him. And he goes right to the read, and it's like, well, I've got the power cosmic. And it's like, oh crap, no. Like you had to make him speak. You could almost see the characters in the comic book ready to break the fourth wall. Like Reed would turn to you and is like, really? You had to make him that strong? I hope you have an exit plan.
Yeah.
It's our book. So that was one storyline that he pulled off once, and he did it again with another character, Tarex the Terrible, where he kind of steals his power or vice versa. But it gets involved. So that was one cool storyline with Doom for me. There's one that always stands out because it showed a different aspect of Doom. Doom never forgot about going to get his mom, and they don't use it enough. Doom knows magic, not just basic magic. Doom is on a level with Doctor Strange, right?
Right.
And there's a book, it was drawn by Mike Mignola, a one-shot issue where it's Strange and Doctor Doom team up to go and fight Mephisto for Doom's mom's soul, right? So
yeah, like
it blows my mind, because keep in mind, this guy's a genius, so he knows his magic. But then, he's watching Strange all the time as Strange is doing his hand gestures and casting certain spells. Now, the guy's a genius, so he's memorizing everything that he's doing. He has a recorder in his armor, and he's letting the armor, do the hand motion. So he's doing the exact same way. And even Doctor Strange caught up and was like, wait a minute, he's mimicking everything I'm doing. Even though it looks kind of mechanical, he's still doing all the hand gestures, right? Because he's learning, because Strange wouldn't really teach him. But if he's around Strange and you hit record, and then your armor just automatically starts imitating everything you're doing,
right?
He can learn that later on properly after. And the two of them going there, and he's casting some like heavy duty spells that even Strange is like, whoa, you're calling out the bands of Cidarock? What?
It's like, hold on. It's like, chill out. Exactly. It's like going, it's like, you got to relax here. It's like going to a Bon Jovi concert and they open with Living on a Prayer. It's like, we got to work up to that. Like, just calm down.
Right.
What can you go after this? What can you do after that?
Yeah, slippery when wet. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You got, so Doom is it, and that's why I like to see is that when I say he's a well-rounded villain, he's a dictator, a leader, he's a genius, he's got the armor, he's got the resources and the money, and he knows magic. Plus, he's already stolen the power cosmic like twice. Come on, man.
Twice. That's the thing. But the fact is that it's like, who's going to stop him, because he's on that level, and people have tried to stop him. People get up in his kitchen all the time, and you're like, but he's freaking Doom. And this is what really bothered me. I don't know if we're going to get into the movies part.
No, sure. Go ahead. Let's jump into it.
I'm just saying that you're taking a character that it was.
I hear you.
I get it, because Fantastic Four has had multiple versions. Even if you go back to like the throwaway, hilarious, like never been printed versions of like the 90s or whatever. I don't know when those were actually made. Those don't count. Doesn't matter. But everything that was like from 2000s forward, like every attempt at making these movies, like the Chris Evans's Human Torch versions and whatnot. They just don't give him the same kind of respect. And I get it, because you have a baddie, and it's not necessarily connected to the greater MCU that kicked off with Iron Man in like 2008 or whatever.
Right.
So you need to give Doctor Doom that kind of respect, where Thanos was the overall looming threat that every other movie added a brick to before Thanos essentially kicked the wall down and just said, I'm here. I'm here. But I was always under the impression that Doom would be reintroduced as kind of that level of,
he should be
just looming threat. And if I'm sure you guys obviously have seen the new Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, what's it called?
Trailer?
The trailer, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see the Illuminati. You see the formation of the Illuminati and their first sort of introduction to the greater MCU, and basically the fact that the multiverse is now like torn wide open. All the stops are pulled, and you can do whatever the hell you want. And I think honestly that there could be a version of Doom that is on that panel as more of a good Doom, whereas if you're looking at that trailer, you see. You could see almost even like a different iteration of Tony Stark with all his sort of Ultron bots that are leading Strange to be tried in front of the tribunal or whatnot.
Yeah,
you could have a Doom. You could have a Victor Von Doom who is not necessarily as evil, and maybe it's a Doom that this is what I'm thinking. I think it's a Doom that is not did not get, dicked on by Ben Grimm in college, that has his face, but used his abilities for good and did rescue his mother, perhaps. So he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. He's just there as part of the Illuminati because of his power level, because of what he's capable of. And maybe that's how you kind of introduce him into it. But something's not right. Something goes wrong. I love that moral ambiguity when it comes to these movies, because when you know who to root for, it becomes less engaging, because it's like, okay, when it's clear cut, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. That's what I liked about the Civil War, because you didn't know who to root for. It's like Iron Man versus Captain America. It's like, I like both these guys, and they both make good arguments. So I kind of like that. And I think that if you introduce a Doom that is morally ambiguous in that way, that has a virtuous side, but maybe has, he's kind of, slips off the path a little bit, that could really be great. I just hope that they don't toss him away like they would any other one shot here villain. Yeah, no,
well, and he can't be. Sorry, go ahead, Rod.
No, I'm saying, listen, Matt, you're saying some great points, because to me, Doom is, the way I look at it, they clearly know that the level, the power level, the intellect level of Doom, you bring him in but bring him into a Fantastic Four movie from the beginning, like they did. They couldn't give him the same power level, because you'll know everybody would be rooting for him versus the Four.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. So if they were to bring in Victor as we know he should be coming in,
well, he would squash them
easily. So that's why they had to make that Victor to be very we'll have the arrogance, we'll have everything like that, but we're gonna have to pull down a couple of levels. Roll the D&D dice and just saying, you got a level 4. Ooh, yeah, that's good for you. You can't have an 8 or 9 like you should have. No, because you'll mess everybody up.
Yeah. Didn't he lose to like a fire hydrant or something?
This is what I'm saying.
Like come on, really? Iron Man can fly through whatever, and Doom loses to a fire hydrant in the movie. And he throws electricity because they had to give him an elemental power. I mean, that bugged me. And my skin's turning to metal every time I use my power. It's like, you don't have powers.
Yeah, I honestly believe that if they wanted to do him justice, it would have to be in the greater MCU, because you would need the complete cooperation, as you saw in Infinity War / Endgame, of this massive realization that this is a threat and this is something that we need to address. So the thing about it is that Thanos, and I know that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, Thanos did nothing wrong, like in all those subreddits and stuff like that, where it's like, he had the right idea. Like, he was trying to heal the world. And like, once he accomplished his goal, he got rid of his powers of the Infinity Gauntlet. He destroyed them. And he went off and lived a wonderful life, like as a farmer, or whatever the hell he was doing. He was growing weed somewhere. Who knows? Like, I don't know.
He just mellowed out.
Yeah. So, and then he got his ass kicked. Like, and then but the thing is that if you have somebody who is a little bit more not necessarily just black and white in terms of good and bad. If you have somebody who can just kind of really push the buttons, you don't know if he's a villain or an ally, somebody who might come into the fray as helping the cause, but doing so, perhaps for his own benefit. You don't know if it's good or bad. They need him, but they can't agree with what he's doing. Like, you need the entire Avenger squad to take him down. It has to be that way.
Absolutely. I mean, look, to show you some of his story arcs or accomplishments that he's done. Okay. So first of all, he's shown up. He was the first person to invent a time machine in the Marvel universe. First person.
Pretty good. And so many have done that by now. I mean, I have one. I just don't use it. Like, it's,
because, playing with time sometimes is dangerous. You don't want to see yourself, paradox, whatever. I've seen Time Cop. I've seen, Back to the Future. I hear you, man. I tried time traveling one time, but the color of my skin told me I can only go back so far. So, yeah.
Oh, no. We stop at the 90s, my man. It's all good. Yeah.
Well, that's when music was music, right?
Yeah. So, I want to go back where I can watch like Fresh Prince, like when it was just coming out. That's when I want to go back.
Thank you. Take me back then. I'm good. Shoulder pads, Jerry curl. I had hair and it was glorious. So he's the first person that invented a time machine in the Marvel universe within the comic books. If you go with the original run, right? And time machines didn't exist. Reed didn't invent the time machine. Victor invented that time machine, and it be used to, do whatever. He turned around at one point and he went to New York in a plane. He put a device inside the Baxter building and caused the whole building to rise up. And then he was taking the whole thing into outer space. It's like, well, you know what? Instead of fighting like enemies one-on-one, I'm just going to take the whole building they're in with their public address and throw it into space and have it on a collision course to the sun. That was it. That, for him, he called it a Tuesday, right? Yeah. It was just a second thought. It's like, yeah, I wonder what Reed's up to. I hate Reed. Let me go to my plane. And that was it, because he just wanted to get rid of them. And then, that storyline got stopped. So, I mean, of course, stealing the power cosmic, another great storyline with Doom, the Doctor Strange one, as I mentioned. So there's so much to draw on. There was even one where I think it was like a time variant, and he had a different armor. So he had to sacrifice what he loved the most, which was his girlfriend at the time. He sacrificed her to get this mystic armor. So it was a kind of a leathery armor. It was kind of a weird tale. Like, I don't think Doom would do something like that. It seemed out of character for me. So he's got this new look. He goes, saves his mom. Something happens where everyone thinks Reed is dead. So he ends up marrying Sue Richards. Like, he marries the Invisible Woman.
That is the ultimate revenge.
Right. It's like, well, I want to love her better than you loved her. And he marries her. And, and then, and I think this timeline they had a kid, which was Valerie. Right. So you have oh my God, I'm forgetting their kid's name right now.
Franklin.
Yeah. Franklin. So you have Franklin, but now it kind of rearranged that Franklin was still there, but then Valerie was the child of Doom and the Invisible Woman, and she had his genius, right? I'm like, oh, and then of course Reed comes back, time machine undoes everything, everything's back to normal. But dude, you lost your wife.
There was, I think, I believe in like the 90s Spider-Man cartoons, wasn't there one where they did kind of like a Secret Wars arc where they all got plucked somewhere? And I remember because they also took Doom and threw him in there. And there was this one part where it's like, I think it was like Spider-Man recruits basically a team of people. He gets like Storm, he gets like Hulk, he gets Iron Man, whatever. And Doom figures out a way to find to defeat all the other villains, I think, and take all their powers. Either way, he's like super powerful, and he could read their minds. So they're all walking towards to go and confront him. And I think it was like Hulk or someone or the Thing. And he's like, what's to stop him to just drop a mountain on us? And then he drops a mountain on them. He just pulls it up and he's like, it's a good idea.
Let's do it.
Simpler is better. So he just dunks a whole mountain on top of them. So that's what you got to appreciate about him too. It doesn't have to be complicated. Nope. Sometimes it's like in wrestling when they say there's no rules, no disqualification. Just go in with a gun. You can't lose. What are you doing? Stop going in with a trash can or a kendo stick or something else, or
drive the beer truck right through the ring when the person's in it.
What exactly? Go in with a brick of C4, just win. It says no disqualification. So you're already beating on the guy. So Doom's the same way. Doom walks in and they're guaranteed Doom's there, and he's like, I gotta rearrange time and reweave the cosmos so that this guy never existed, and that's how I beat him. And then you drop a mountain on us, and he's like, drop a mountain on us. That costs so much less. It's no problem.
That's resources.
The mountain's already there. Who cares? It's there. Right? It's there. It's the same place.
And I know what you're talking about, because I know they did touch it on the Spider-Man cartoon, but that was actually based off the storyline of Secret Wars, right? In that issue where, Doom goes there as the Beyonder, he makes Battle World, everyone's there, and at one point, we got to fight Doom, and it's and the whole thing of drop a mountain on him. Bing! Mountain's there. And then everyone gets pissed at the Hulk because the Hulk is the only person holding up this mountain, right? and then, I can't remember, I think it was Mr. Fantastic that was there or someone, they just kept pissing him off. They're like, what are you, a weakling? This is not. He's like, when I get this mountain off my shoulders, I'm going to crush you. It's like, oh, you're going to get it off. And they're taunting him constantly because no one else is thinking except for, I think it was Reed. And it's like, well, we know the matter we get the Hulk, the stronger he gets. And this gives us a better chance to survive this whole thing. He's got a mountain, something Mount Everest, and he's holding it up by himself. And they're taunting him, get him matter to survive. But Doom's sitting there yeah, okay. So I took the power cosmic twice. What's to stop me from doing it from to the Beyonder?
Right.
And Doom comes up with this whole contraption to steal the Beyonder's power, which he does.
Like,
It's
like you know what it's like? It's like Dana White putting two like heavyweights in the ring, and one of the heavyweights like, screw this. He goes, beats the crap out of Dana White and becomes the CEO of the UFC. Like, that's basically what we've seen here. Like, that's what it is. Dana's like, we'll get the best fighters. I'm gonna make them fight in the octagon. And who the hell is this in my office? And why am I dead? Like, that's it's basically what happened. Doom does everything right, and he's not above stupid ideas that work. If it's simple and like I just bet, like when you're talking about like the Hulk getting like angrier and angrier, I honestly just picture like Iron Man is like just showing him like, oh yeah, it's like here's like some Snapchats from your girlfriend, and he's like, oh, it's like just getting pissed.
It's like, hey Hulk, you know Betty's pretty flexible.
Yeah.
You want to see? It's like, but that's the beauty of Doom that gets lost in film when they're making this character. And I agree with you. You can't have Doom as a one-time villain. If you're going to do, and I've talked about this with Rod, if you're going to do a Fantastic Four movie, right? Live action. Let's just call it out as it is. You're doing something live action. First of all, as I told Rod, or I was telling one of my other friends too, you got to do it as a 3-part. It's got to be a trilogy. The Fantastic Four has too much history that's got to be done as a trilogy. And in the trilogy, in my mind, you cannot bring Doom in one. No. Do a little quick flashback, 10 minutes, talk about their origin. Let's get right into it. For me, if I had it, I would do Fantastic Four, first movie on Mole Man. Let Mole Man be the main villain, go through all that. At the end, of course, the heroes will have to win. But then do a post-credit scene where you see someone sitting there in armor going, I gave him the technology and he still couldn't bring them down. Right. And let that be the appearance of Doom. Okay. Second movie comes in and let it be, okay, Silver Surfer. I know we're not going to have time to do all these storylines, but let the Silver Surfer show up and let Doom steal his power. Right. And go through the whole thing of dealing with the Fantastic Four, or did I have it that way? I know there was like one part where you have to bring in Silver Surfer, let him steal his power, and then bring in Galactus. And that's what I mean by the 3-parter there, right? So, even if you do that last movie, it's 2 parts, but the last movie would have to be Doom, showing up, dealing with the Fantastic Four, getting the power cosmic, fighting against Galactus, and then realizing it's like, yeah, as bad as I want to get rid of the Fantastic Four and Reed, I'm going to have to team up with them to help them, because if he eats the whole planet,
I have no planet to rule. I have no planet. Right, exactly.
Right, listen, and that would be a nice crossover little thing, but something along those lines, right? But don't put them in the first movie. Let them deal with, as I said, Mole Man first. Let them have their second movie in the negative zone, and then third movie, put it as a 2-parter, because something like that has to be big for Doctor Doom to come in. You just can't do one and done, because that would be a waste. Stupid. It'd be a throwaway of such a great character. You want to see like how he was in Black Panther. In Black Panther, you saw that he was built up. You saw that he was a leader. You saw the armor. So by the time we got the Black Panther movie, we already had all these little tidbits from here and there of the character and what to expect. You got to drop little Easter eggs of Doom and let him show he's doing something, but you don't know what, till it kind of blows up to the big picture of like, I've got the power cosmic. Oh, crap. He's going to eat the whole planet. Okay, you know what? I'm going to help you fools, but understand something. We're not done.
Listen, for me, Doom has always been that type of person, the man on the throne. He just basically he's a strategist from the throne. When he has to get up is when everybody needs to fear him. It's bad enough when he's controlling stuff from where he is. He's in Levidia, and he's just by himself. Not by himself, but he's controlling things. He has the ability, to connect and talk to Tony Stark if need be. Talk to Reed, whatever, and just control the dynamics of whatever he's doing, his plans from his throne room. And like you said, that'll be a perfect way. I gave Mole Man the technology, and he still figured a way how to figure it out. Fine. Now he's already calculating what else he has to do. To me, Doom has always been that type of person he wants the power. He's a scientist. He's a king, basically like an emperor of his country, and he does whatever he can to make sure his country is well taken care of. He wants power, but it's always a power that, to me, I always look at that. The power that he wants is maybe for himself. He's not in the mindset of global domination.
No, because he could. I mean? That's why he's content with Latveria. He's like, this is where I am. Exactly this is what I want. Like, everyone else, F off. Like, leave me alone. I made my playground. I built my fences. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So with him having that type of power, like, yeah. So if he wants more power, I realize I need more wisdom. I need more power within me to be the best, the ultimate, the supreme doom. So that's why he'll want to get the power cosmic. That's why he'll try to get power from Galactus and realize, okay, that's too much for me. The Beyonder, he's always just trying to improve himself. If you want to look at it that way, he's always the type of person who's trying to improve himself to be the best student that he can be. But he knows that with that knowledge, he can, with the snap, I could drop a mountain on you. That's not a bad idea. Bam! And that's it. He has that foresight. So he's never, that's why he's a villain, but he's a,
is he?
It's maybe on the title card, but he doesn't try to be the villain type of person. That's the part I'm trying to get to, is that he may have on his scorecard, he may be a villain. Right. You know, you're on this side if you're coming into a wedding, or you're on the side of the bride or the groom. Like, you know, are you the hero side or the villain side? I guess I'll go into the villain side. But I'm just here because of my calling card. That's it.
I know they have to put him in boxes, but he's really, to me, he's not a villain. He's just more. He just doesn't like somebody. You know, sometimes, like, look, Maggie Simpson from the Simpsons has that one kid she doesn't like with that one unibrow.
One eyebrow with the unibrow. Yeah,
that's her enemy. She right. No rhyme or reason. She just doesn't like that baby, right? You know, Seinfeld every time Newman, right? He just can't stand Newman for whatever reason. So to Doom, he'd be like probably in a good mood. Hey, everyone's good, and throwing flowers at my feet. And there's no crime. There's no one sick. No one's hungry. Read.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, there's a poster like, hey, I got a picture of Reed Richards. Lock this kid up in the cell. I was like, what? It's like, that's a person that sticks it to him. Like, he's good with his face and all that. He's got a clone of himself as a little kid called Christoph that he's raising as his own son. Right. And he's trying to live his life. But you're right. The Avengers show up saying, well, you can't live that way. People should be free. But nobody's sick. We don't need healthcare. We're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Do you? I'm gonna do me. And then they invade. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. invades. And then Fantastic Four says, no, you're doing wrong. We're gonna invade. I would think two things. One, he doesn't like Reed. We know that. That's always been established from day one. But the day he finds out that Ben Grimm was the one that tinkered with his devices, Reed should fall to second on his list, and it should be all about Benjamin Grimm and making his life miserable.
You know what Latveria is? Latveria is what Kim Jong-un tells people North Korea's like, but it's actually like that. You know? Like, you get it, like you're there, like literally, it's like all the stories you hear about like Kim Jong-il back in the day, where it's like he shot like a 38 in golf, and he was born on a mountaintop on a cloud somewhere, and he could do this and he could do that, and he could walk on water, and he's like the world's greatest, I don't know, like painter and this and that, and like everyone's happy and everyone's fed and we're a superpower. Except everyone knows it's bull when it comes to actual North Korea, but in Latveria, that's actually true. Like, it's just amazing. It's like North Korea just is reading Dr. Doom comic books and said, let's just tell people this. Let's tell them this because this is really cool. But it's like, but that's not the case. And then Kim Jong-un's like, Doombot, let's go out of here. Thanks. Get out of here. Frankly, and to be fair, have you seen the amount of medals that all those military people in North Korea wear? It's like they're Doombots because they're like pretty much covered in metal armor. Like, it's ridiculous.
Hilarious.
Oh my God, that is awesome. Hold on.
Have I told you that I really like being on this podcast? Because
this is what it is, man. This is what it is, man.
Because when I'm in the elevator in my apartment and I'm saying this, people are like, "Get me the hell out of here." So
on here, it makes sense.
Yes.
Thank you. So we're going to bring this part, we're going to get close to wrapping it up. I know we thought we'd go a little bit longer, but here it is. We're not done yet. We're going to be a little bit longish episode. So everyone just hold on with us. We are going to get into fan casting this whole thing, right? So here, let's do a round table. I know if I wanted to see Doom in the MCU live action treatment or whatever case to be, I'm going to pull up an actor. I'm going to give you the name of who I saw here. I got to find it because, I saved it. And of course, now, does Barry remember where he saved it? No. Yes. Okay. So I'm going with, and it might be a weird choice. So bear with me. Scoot McKinney.
Scoot McKinney. Hold on. Let me Google.
Coot. And the last name is M as in Mary, C, N as in Nancy, A-I-R-Y.
Say that again. So Scoot McNairy?
Yeah.
M-C-N-A-I-R-O. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was in the movie.
He was in
12 Years a
Narcos.
Slave.
Yep. Okay, I got him front row center here. Yeah, that's not bad. That is definitely not bad. Okay. All right.
Right. And I'll tell you why. I like, first of all, his look. I mean, when I say his look, his face, his look, he's got the seriousness that he's got more on internally than he has on the surface. He does portray that he seems to be always thinking. He's always got something there. He's got the build. I know he might look a little bit thin, but keep in mind, Dr. Doom is in armor. So a lot of you don't have to look like you can lift 10 tons. You're in armor. The armor will do it for you. So he does come across as a thinker, a scientist, but it could seem that he has like a dark side to him, and he can go either way. And I think with the range of some of the projects he's done before, he could pull off a decent Dr. Doom to me.
I like it. I definitely like it. He's got the look. He's got the age bracket too. He's not too young. I don't think he's too old. When I was sort of theory crafting all this stuff in my head, there was some that I was like, if this was like 10 or 15 years ago, it would have worked.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that's a solid choice. Absolutely a solid choice.
Thank you very much. Before we get to yours, Matt, I want to see Rod. Who do you have? Who do you have on your?
So I was going with and I actually believe we've cast this guy with something else, and I can't remember at this point who it was, but I'm going with Armie Hammer.
Oh.
Ooh, yes.
Armie Hammer. So why I'm going with him? He's done. Anything anybody will remember would be like the Long Ranger. But if anybody also remember, is the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yes.
And because of that, it's because of his portraying there that he was just
calculating,
very calculating. He just had that deep emotion that like I could be a very hard, rough type of individual. You rub him a wrong way in that show, in that movie. Chances are you're not going to come out with your face straight. He's going to take you out and feel no way. That's how I feel Doom could be. Also, I wanted to go also with the fact, like we were saying about, is Doom's face fully scarred underneath his face? Is it one piece of scar, or if it's all really, disfigured? Armie does have he's a very handsome gentleman. Mm-hmm. He can also be able to show off that type of, what's the proper word of saying? I'd say being vain in the sense I have that little mark. That's it. My face is gone. That's it. I can't work nowhere. I need a mask. Doombox. I can't be seen. Stop looking at me type of scenario.
Right. Okay.
So I just wanted to have a person who's very handsome, but if you had him scarred up for half a second, that it'd be more of like, okay, that's really a mental thing on you that you realizing that's just a little, you just shave yourself. You just cut yourself shaving that morning and that's it. and your face is done. You're like saying, oh, that's it. My life is over. Reed, it's all your fault. Dang it to you, Reed.
You called my name. I jumped. I cut myself with a razor. Yeah. I want revenge.
It's the Mach 3. It should be the Mach 5. And now I nicked myself and God damn it, Reed.
Going to university, I couldn't afford a Mach 5. I only can afford a Rock 3. You came out the door and shook me up. Dang it, it's your fault. Yeah.
Seriously.
Stop telling Sue to use my razor.
Imagine that the entire thing could have been just completely if Gillette offered him a Pro Glide, it would have been a completely different story. But no, that did not happen.
Exactly. So now, who do you have rattling around in your dome there, Matt? Who do you have there?
Well, there's a few, and the worst part about it is that a lot of them have already been used in various capacities as characters in various Marvel. Like the first one that popped up in my mind was the gentleman who was in the Hawkeye series who played Kate Bishop's like stepdad. Tony Dalton, but he's already a character. He's in I think he's in Better Call Saul as like a crime lord, and he doesn't have many acting credits, but I think that he can pull off the elegance that is necessary to play Doom. But the in my mind, the perfect in my mind is Nikolai Coster-Waldau. I think is that, or what's his name? Nikolai. He's the guy who played Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
He already has the under his belt, like the elegance of being a royal, so to speak, of being an elite. He has the moral ambiguity of that kind of character put down already, because he played Jaime Lannister, who went and sort of played both sides, and you didn't know if you could trust him or not. And he showed the kindness and he showed the compassion, but at the end of the day, it was selfish. It was his own selfish ambitions that drove him. Right? He couldn't escape the things that were essentially driving him, as disgusting as they may have been. I think that he also is in the right age range. He has the look, and like you said, Rod, when you're talking about like the fact that you got the cut and how vain are you, that is not just that one imperfection means that I cannot show my face, which, by the way, was a storyline in the WWE in the 90s with Kane when they did unmask him and his face wasn't all scarred and he just thought it was, so he hid his face. So that's already so. Once again, Vince McMahon has saved the day. What's his name? I'm going to get his exact name. Nikolai Coster-Waldau. That is my choice. And if you look at the pictures of Nikolai, tell me that isn't a Doctor Doom waiting to happen. He's in his 40s. He could play it so damn well, I think, and he's got it down pat.
Absolutely. I agree. I like that choice. That really does stand out. Good on you, man. And I mean, expect no less. So as we get near to the end of this episode, people, let me tell you something. We've learned a couple of things. We learned about Dr. Doom. Thank you, Matt, for being on here. We learned how Latvia has been run. And I realized that I got a little bit of a scar on my face. So there's only one thing left for me to do is to hide my face in my own makeshift Dr. Doom mask. Don't judge me on this.
See, man, I can't take this guy nowhere. Comes
down on the Iconic podcast.
I was gonna say.
I know you're shaking your heads and you wonder what left of this. Well, it's episode of Dr. Doom.
And it looks like this.
These simple words. Well, first of all, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Matt, thank you for joining us. DJ Rod C.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for being my cousin and being there, being my friend.
No problem. No problem.
Barry 3D. This whole world was started by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming.
A lot of imagination. Wow. You see that. You see that right there.
This turned into a Daft Punk podcast. Look at all.